This morning's scripture reading comes from 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 8 through 11. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the very words of God. If anyone serves, they should do so with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen.
Good morning. It's February 19th and I have short sleeves on. That's pretty amazing, right? One dangerous thing is giving someone a lot of time to prepare. I've known that we were going to do this presentation for a long time, and all kinds of things were running through my head, and good ideas just kept coming out. So a couple of times during Sunday morning Bible class, we would be going through something, and I'd say, oh, that's going to be perfect. I'm going to do that and start writing down some things. But then something else would happen, and I would write that down, and it just kept happening and happening. But a few weeks ago, we've been studying 1 Peter on Wednesday nights and going through how to remain faithful through suffering or when times get tough. And there was a comment that was thrown out about 4 weeks ago, that just really stuck with me. And that's what I've been focusing on, and I think it really relates to our mission work in a big way. The comment was, if you're a follower of Christ, if you call yourself a follower of Christ, then you need to follow Christ. And on the surface, it just sounds, well, yeah, I'm a follower. But when you think about that a little more deeply, what does that mean? What does that mean if you're saying, I follow Christ? That means what was important to him is going to be important to me. His priorities should be my priorities. How he treated others is how I should be treating others. How he used his time is how I should be using my time. And then the tougher ones, like how he suffered, maybe I should be suffering. With him, I'm going to follow him. So that phrase has really stuck with me. I wrote down 4 different things when I was thinking of following in his footsteps. The things I think we think of initially, like I should be kind to others, I should love others, I should treat people with compassion, I should tell the truth, I should act with patience and gentleness and love. And I think that's the things we usually first think of when we think of Christ and how he acted. But then I didn't put a graphic together, but I charted all the miracles of Christ. I think there were 32 that I wrote down. Don't quote me on it, but that's what I had written down. And when we were, Carrie and I got to visit Honduras, and I'll talk a little bit more about that last month. We got to visit the coffee farm with an old college friend of mine, and he mentioned when you look at Jesus' miracles, he was either demonstrating his authority and proving who he was, or he was showing compassion. And when I wrote down every miracle that he did and tried just in very general categories, is he demonstrating his authority, or is he just showing compassion? And most of the time, he was showing compassion. He had pity on someone and healed them, raised them from the dead, took care of lepers, made the blind see, things like that. That was all out of compassion. And that's how we should act. He was focused on the needs of others, and he ignored his own will and did what God asked. And that's what we're asked to follow and do too. And that one gets a little harder. It's easier when we just think of, well, I need to love everybody. But when I have to give up what I want and do what God wants, that's a little harder. And then we need to be willing, if we're going to follow Christ, to be unpopular, to be rejected, to be mocked, maybe even beaten, and what Christ did, get killed. He was willing to go that far because he was giving up what he wanted to do and do what God wanted to do. And if I'm going to call myself a follower of Christ, that's something I need to be willing to do. So if I say that, that's an important thing or a big deal. But after Christ did all that, what happened? He went to sit on the right hand of God and have that true relationship with him. It didn't end with suffering and death. It ended with Christ in a perfect relationship with his Father there in heaven. And that's what I want to follow him to. And the time of being unpopular or mocked or made fun of, that's worth it if I'm going to follow him. So, being a follower of Christ, I don't think comes naturally. I want to take care of myself. I don't want to do what God wants to do. I usually want to do what I want to do. So if I'm going to do that, I need to have some purposeful practice. I need to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be able to follow him and learn how to follow him and practice doing that. I think a lot of that happens here at church. And I think the mission work that we do can be called purposeful practice. That's where we're putting ourselves in a situation where it's not about me, it's about someone else. It's about getting rid of my will and accepting God's will. And I think the mission trips also help us get rid of all those distractions that are around. That's what I mean by purposeful practice. When you're in Honduras or Haiti, out in the middle of nowhere, you're not being distracted with your email or your cell phone or some other thing. You're out there on your own, and all those distractions go away, and you could focus on needs that are outside your own, focus on someone else. So when we think about our mission work and how you might be involved or how you can help out with that, I hope you think of it that way, as some purposeful practice on following Christ. So most of you have already heard all about Mission Lazarus, but I want to just quickly remind you of who Mission Lazarus is, what they do, and why we work with them. Mission Lazarus was started in 2003 by Jared and Allison Brown, and we began working with them in 2011 was the first time we sent a team. Mission Lazarus has 4 areas of focus: agriculture, education, medicine, and social and spiritual. And they've kind of worked into this thing, social enterprise now, where they have that as a focus. But I think that if there's one main reason that I think Mission Lazarus has been a good partnership for us, is that they're truly spiritually led. They're willing to go down all kinds of paths that maybe doesn't seem logical at the time. And the way that they've built the work in Honduras is keeping their eyes open for opportunities that maybe the Spirit led them to. It started with a clinic in 2003 in Las Pitas, and then turned into an opportunity to build a children's refuge in 2004, and they did that. And then they have an opportunity to buy a piece of land that is a coffee farm, and they do that. And all kinds of things have just been bolted on, and now there's this enormous work going on in Honduras. 28 churches are sponsored by Mission Lazarus in Honduras. There's 3 medical clinics, 4 different vocational schools, the coffee farm, all kinds of programs that are going on. And one of the things that's demonstrated how they are spiritually led is some of the programs that we started working with in 2011, they don't do anymore, even though we thought they were really successful. One of those is the food delivery. The first few years that we started working with Mission Lazarus, we would buy big giant sacks of food and deliver them to members of the church. And we thought that was fantastic. We loved doing that, and I always felt like it was a growth experience for us, and it was impactful to the areas that we worked in. But Mission Lazarus saw that it was causing strife within the church, within the churches that we were delivering to, because some of the folks said, well, why did that church member get a month's worth of groceries and someone else didn't? And we didn't see that. We would leave and feel happy about the food that we delivered, but some had gotten left out. So they changed the program and started doing different things to help that church not struggle. You don't want to cause struggle there. So that's something that we've seen over the years, that sometimes when we first hear about it, they're not going to do that program. You get really disappointed and you want to question them, and you call up Jared or email him, and you're a little fired up and you want to start asking him questions, and then he explains what's going on. I think they really are spiritually led, and they're willing to make some difficult decisions. That's something that we've done. This is one of the girls at the church. One of the other things that has been really successful with Mission Lazarus is their vocational schools, the leather program that they have going. Gets kids educated, gives them a trade, and the graduates of that program are the ones that Mission Lazarus will hire to make all kinds of products. When I was leaving this morning, my son said, "Dad, you got a lot of leather things." I'm basically an advertisement for Mission Lazarus. If you want to know what they do, take a look. And I'll show you all the different things. My Bible, that is a leather product of theirs. My belt, that is Mission Lazarus. My boots, these are Mission Lazarus from their boot program. My wallet, that is from the Mission Lazarus leather program. And I brought this up here. I would walk around and model it for you guys, but my nice work bag, that is from the Mission Lazarus program too. So I don't go out to stores or the mall ever and spend lots of money on things, but this kind of stuff I do. I enjoy that. And they're great products. These boots I've had since 2011, and I think the wallet I got then too, and the Bible. And they've all done real well. One of the other ways we support the work of Mission Lazarus is buying their coffee. And I don't know if you realize it or not, or if it hasn't gotten communicated well, but the coffee that we serve here is from the Mission Lazarus farm. And I don't think there's many churches that can say that we buy our coffee green from a mission and have a member roast it every week, and then we serve it here. Dave Stevens roasts this coffee every week. And there aren't many churches, I think, that could say, I've met the folks that picked that coffee that you're drinking today. This is one of the pickers that Carrie and I got to meet and watch work about a month ago, and it was amazing to see the kind of work that these farmers would do. I think all of us fell at least once trying to climb up this mountainside. When I think of a farm, if I just imagine that, I'm picturing a flat, nice, easy cornfield with a tractor that goes through and scoops up the stuff. Coffee is grown on a mountainside, so you've got to be a good climber and then pick this stuff the right way and fill up a big basket and then get that back down to the processing area. So we were tripping and falling and hanging on trees to get up there and visit this area, and some of these ladies are wearing flip-flops and have this basket just going, and running right through their row, picking this coffee. It was amazing to watch how much work goes into that little cup of coffee that we just put away real fast. It was really neat. The other thing that Mission Lazarus does is pay much, much better than anyone else on that mountain. There's lots of coffee farms on the mountain where they serve, and they pay much better. Lots of people want to work for Mission Lazarus. One of the other things they mentioned while we were there is they're building latrines all around the mountain. Because the pickers are out there all day, what happens when you have to go to the bathroom? Do you have to hike all the way back down to the processing area? There's a bathroom there. That's a hike. Or you're out in the farm. So they're building latrines out in all the different areas just for their workers. And then lean-tos where people can stop and eat lunch. Building that all around the farm. And all the farmers have access to medical care, which leads me to this. This is that first clinic that Mission Lazarus built, Las Pitas, in 2003. So one of the updates I wanted to give you was last December, we raised $3,769 for medical supplies. And those medical supplies were going to this clinic and this one, which is a new one they built on the ranch. This is the inside of the clinic, and that's Jared Brown. So those supplies were purchased for those two clinics. The ranch clinic is an interesting story because all the other clinics that they built were outreach. They're trying to create some influence and plant churches and bring help to some very remote area. Las Pitas was really remote. He said a jungle clinic, but I think that was 2+ hours on a dirt road going up the mountain. That was, any of you that have driven to the coffee farm and thought that was rough, man, that is easy. Las Pitas is rough. But the ranch clinic was built because Mission Lazarus has over 100 employees now at the farm, at the ranch, and they didn't have medical care or a spot right there. So they built this clinic for their own employees so that they could have ongoing care. And that's the room we're in there is where the dental chairs are. So that's a good thing that KOP got to be involved with buying medical supplies for those two clinics. The other great update I have for you is Portillo Grande. That's the church that King of Prussia began sponsoring last year. The preacher's name is Joseph, and they preach at the church that's located near the coffee farm. So in addition to him preaching there, he also teaches the sewing vocational school. So a little bit about the church there. This is the church where he preaches. Last year they had 12 baptisms and 4 new people rededicate their lives to Christ. And the last update we got from them said that they've been running different programs in 2016, and one of them was a class about marriage. There's a thing in Honduras called machismo, where basically a guy just does whatever he wants. And he's got ladies all over the place and kids all over the place, and he just go up and find a girl he likes, and that's going to be his girl. But they don't get married, and they can live with someone for a while, and some guys are even dedicated to whoever it is that they've chosen to be with, but they'll live together and have lots of kids. But the idea of marriage was viewed as weak. So a lot of the Honduran guys wanted to practice machismo, and they would not want to be viewed as weak. Well, they had some classes on marriage, and 4 couples were really convicted and got married at Christmas this year at Portillo Grande, and it was a neat thing. And all of them were longtime couples. They had been together, some of them 10, 15 years, but they decided to get married, and that's one of the neat updates we got. The other one that I wanted to share with you, I don't have a good picture of him, but this is one we worshiped there about a month ago. This gentleman got up to read and give a quick little interpretation of whatever he was reading. He had a lot of trouble reading. Wasn't a good reader. He kind of stuttered a little, really struggled with words, but everyone was patient, just let him go, and he humbly got up there and read this passage. And when we were done, Jared and 3 or 4 other people were saying, that guy is a miracle. If you read about Saul's conversion to Paul, that's what this guy was like. They said he was the meanest guy on the mountain, and everyone was afraid to run into him because you never knew what he was going to be like. If you just bumped into this guy, he might beat you up. He was a mean, angry guy. Apparently he was physical with his wife, all kinds of things, but started attending the church there and was baptized this year. And now he's up there humbled, reading a passage, and an active member of that church. So those are the kind of things that are going on in Portillo Grande. Their 2017 plans are to do some classes and teaching on deacons, to try and get some men to step up and be deacons of the church. So if you want to be praying for them, that's something that you could pray about. This is us with the preacher and his wife. I'm not going to try and say her name. I said it wrong lots of times. It starts with an A. Here, let me back up a little bit. So one of the opportunities that you're going to have is to go on a trip here to Honduras. We'll send a team in July. So July 27th, we're going to send a team. We'll do a VBS near this church on our trip, and we're still kicking around ideas for work projects, but one of them is doing a new floor for the house that we built for the coffee farm manager, or a new floor at the posada where we stay and eat lunches, and maybe build some latrines, which isn't glamorous, but it is real important there in Honduras to do that stuff. So if you have any interest in getting to worship there and get to see and meet this congregation that we're sponsoring, that would be an opportunity for you, and to get up near the coffee farm. I obviously need to update my church outfits because I only have one apparently that I can wear when I go to church. So maybe I should get out a little more. The other opportunity we have, and this one is important, is the work in Haiti. I haven't personally been able to go on that trip yet, but I would like to. The work in Haiti is kind of like what Honduras was 10 years ago. It is at the very beginning parts of Mission Lazarus's work there. Right now they're focusing on one school and getting that school up and running and doing well and creating some influence in the area. And then from there, they can expand out and maybe begin sponsoring some churches and doing other things. But right now, this is the school that they're focused on. And the trip, this one is coming up soon. It's April 15th to the 22nd. And there's a catch with this trip. They need at least 10 people to go on this trip to make it possible. Mission Lazarus used to, I think it was rent out a small hotel in one spot, and now they're moving to a different area. And for it to be cost effective at all, they need at least 10. So if you have any interest in that, please see us right away. We need to have 10 by March 15th. So if we can have that set by then, if we can get at least 10, then we can do that. These are some kids at the school. And there's some of the latrines. They were doing that there too in Haiti. So again, think of your a commitment to Haiti. One other opportunity that we have is Jonathan and Brittany Stein. Some of you may remember them attending here. Well, they moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma to a congregation called Contact Church of Christ. And Contact Church of Christ is in a low-income neighborhood, and the church is kind of focused on taking care of a lot of needs in that neighborhood and taking care of a lot of youth. And quickly after the Steins got there, they were asked to help out. And Jonathan agreed to be an associate minister there at Contact. And his areas are focusing on the youth ministry, social services, and Brittany was really good with psychology and helping out with kids, so that she's helping out with that. But the community, the church can't afford to pay a minister, another associate minister. So he's already signed on and doing the work, but they're trying to raise money to help support the work there. So if that is something that touches you or you would like to support, that's another thing that you could support. A former member working in a low-income area, and I know Jonathan and Brittany did a lot of good things while they were here. So I'm excited for the work that they got into there, and it's no surprise that they showed up and started working right away. It's kind of like what they did here. So it would be a neat way to keep in touch with a member. And Jonathan said it would be a good excuse to come up and visit and then give reports. So that's something that we could do. So how can we put all this together? In the pews in front of you, and I'll have forms in the back, there are two different forms. The one on the left is a commitment to how you would like to financially support our mission work for 2017. We started this a few years ago, and it's worked really well. We're not having bake sales. I'm not doing a car wash anymore. I'm not doing all these different little pancake breakfasts during the year. If you would like to think how you would like to contribute to missions, you let me know your commitment. And this is your intended support for the entire year. I'm not going to send out these forms every few months and say, okay, we need some more money. So it doesn't mean you have to have a check ready right now. It just means this is what I intend to give this year. And it could be a little bit per month. It could be all in one check. It could be every few months, whatever you need. I just would like to know what your commitment is towards all of these mission works for 2017. And you'll see on there the Honduras, Haiti, the Portillo Grande Church, if you want to direct it right towards that, or towards Jonathan and Brittany Stein, you could do that. Or if you want to support a team member that's going to Haiti or Honduras, you could put that on there too. And we'll have these forms out for a while. The one on the right is our 2 trips, the one for Haiti and the one for Honduras. I should have mentioned the trip to Haiti, it's in the bulletin too. The estimated cost per person is $1,500 to $2,000, somewhere in that range, maybe depending on how these forms come back, but that's the estimated cost if you're considering that. But if you have any interest, if you check that box and hand it to me, it doesn't mean you're signed up 100% to go. I'm buying you a ticket, but it just means you're interested. So if you have any interest, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer all of them. What I'm hoping is that you'll prayerfully consider, take your time. This don't have to be turned in today. Prayerfully consider how you're going to purposefully practice following Christ, and it's not just with your checkbook. That's an important piece. I'd rather have everyone go and figure out how we're going to pay for it than have lots of people paying and supporting, but not people going. I'd rather have people going and experience these things firsthand. If you have any concerns about the trip, ask someone that's gone. One of the other beauties of Mission Lazarus is how well organized and thoughtful they are, and they're sending teams. Some people will hear scary things about Haiti and Honduras, and Mission Lazarus is very careful with those sort of things. When we were going in January with my friends from college, that was one of his concerns. He called me 2 days before we left and said, "Jason, I did a bad thing. I went on Google and I typed in crime in Honduras and I saw all these scary things. Please talk me down." And I said, "Listen, Kenny, when you get there, you'll get off the plane and you'll see someone from Mission Lazarus, and you'll get into a truck that has a Mission Lazarus placard on the side right away. You don't go wandering around just aimlessly. This is a well-organized group. And it is very comforting to get off the plane and have a familiar face or have a friendly face there waiting for you as soon as you get off, and then take you somewhere. And that's what Mission Lazarus does. They're very thoughtful about those sort of things. And they're there all the time. If you know the area, that's half the battle, or most of the battle. I would talk about working in Philly and how that could be a dangerous place too. But I've worked there for 13 years. I know the spots you go to. I know the spots you don't go to, especially at night. And I feel very safe working there. And that's what Mission Lazarus is doing. They know the area. They know who to hang around with and who not to. But if you have any kind of concerns about that, just let me know, and I can talk to you about it. Back to being a follower of Christ. If you don't call yourself a follower of Christ right now, would you consider that? Follow him. Do the same thing that he did. He got baptized and then started his ministry. And we should follow in his footsteps and do the same thing. And if you don't participate in any of these programs, find a way to practice being a follower of Christ. Find a way to imitate the things that he did so that we could do the same thing and have that close relationship with God that I know we're all looking for. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity that we have to worship you, to honor you, to recognize that you're our God and we're here to follow and serve you. Lord, I pray that this congregation would be your hands and feet and voice in this area, in Haiti, in Honduras, and wherever we go to school, wherever we go to work, that our eyes would be open for what you have us to do there. Lord, help us to know how to serve you. Lord, help us to imitate you in a greater way, to follow you more closely. Lord, help us to get rid of our will and focus on yours. Lord, I pray that you bless these works that are going on in Haiti and Honduras and in Tulsa. Lord, I pray that you would use them as tools to spread your kingdom, to grow your kingdom there. And Lord, give us the courage to be unpopular, to do things that maybe the world doesn't understand, but we know the call is from you. Lord, help us to know that and do that with all of our strength and everything that we have. Lord, I thank you for your Son. He's made us clean and he's made it possible that we can have a relationship with you. Lord, I thank you for that. It's through him that I offer this prayer. Amen. Lesson's yours.